I remember being along at Stamford Bridge, Simon, after Chelsea beat Villa, and no matter what, he fronts up. Do you want to do a one-off interview? I'll do that for you. He's a good guy. He's a good professional. As he says it's all about opinions. Now, I remember you said
it's about results.
I remember you said Frank Lampard would have been in a no-lose situation had he got into Norwich. Is it the same for Dean Smith?
I made an observation, and I've made a few recently that have come back and bit me very quickly, that I didn't think there was a situation where he'd get another Premier League job anytime soon, because I felt that the currency that he operates within is a similar sort of currency to people like Sean Dyche, which is they don't get the recognition that they perhaps should get at times. And it's arguable that if Aston Villa had been a Premier League side and fired a manager, that they would have never have hired Dean Smith. They hired Dean Smith because they were in a championship at the time, rebuilding a football club for a variety of reasons. And Dean Smith's credentials have been very highly regarded with Brentford and obviously with Walsall. Now, taking the Norwich job, for me, is a precursor to going back into the Championship. Not because I don't like Norwich, because I do like Norwich. I think they're a wonderful football club run by really decent people.
Yeah.
But I think they're a poor football team. I think it's a poor squad. I think Stuart Webber speaks very well in the press, but has to own the recruitment policy that he is in part being responsible for. And if you look at that squad of players, they're not good enough. They weren't good enough first time round. And they haven't gotten any better. In fact, they've got significantly worse from the first time they went up. Obviously, Norwich have had some very good players passing through that they've been forced, for various circumstances, to sell. More often, not just because they want the finances, but because bigger clubs lure these players away, and then you're in a situation where a player wants to leave, and that's what you're left with.
Yeah.
Dean Smith is an unambitious but sensible appointment. Frank
unambitious?
Well, I think so, yeah, because, Dean, it's not a matter of opinions about the ownership model at Aston Villa. It's a matter of results. When you look at it and say the last 5 games, it started to go bad after Wolves. They were brilliant against Everton, but against a much depleted Everton.
Yeah.
The whole of 21 has been a little bit of a disappointing year for Villa. I do feel that he deserved, with the currency that he had, just a little bit more time to right the ship, because whilst Villa's direction of travel was not the right way, I don't think there was any indication the players weren't performing for him. They did bottle it, they did choke, and they did fall upon their swords against Wolves, being 2-0 up, cruising, and the whole season seems to have turned on that pinhead.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's about opinions. I think that's about statements of fact. And you look at Norwich and say, he's come out of Aston Villa, gone straight into Norwich, and doesn't need a break. That's fine. Why should he? Most people that don't like something want to get back straight on the horse and correct the perspective of it. But I do think he'll be managing a Championship side next year. 27 games or no 27 games. There's nothing about that Norwich side that I look at and see that he's going to be able to sprinkle some magic gold dust over to turn them into a free-scoring, competitive side that's able to meet the expectations of the Premier League.
Yeah.
I think Newcastle might fall into that trap as well. The difference with Newcastle is we believe that they have this embarrassment of riches they're about to unleash in January that's going to give them the ability to power away from the bottom of the table. And also, if you do look at Newcastle, offensively, they've got far more than Norwich have. If you look at Callum Wilson when he's fit, if you look at Alan Saint-Maximin when he's fit, at Almiron, Joe Willock, these are players that can hurt the opposition. Pukki is really what Norwich have got.
Yeah. Certainly no excuses now for Newcastle. You're right. Under Eddie Howe, they've got to get it going. The only club still not to have registered a win in the Premier League. I think what you said is right, Simon. I think, and he can't possibly say it, what you've said Dean Smith actually believes.
In terms of what?
In terms of its Championship football next season.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's also a way, I suspect there's a way that you go down. And whilst you don't plan to go down, and you have got 27 games, and you've got an opportunity to get 1.3 points per game, get 1.3 points a game, you're out of this mess.
Yeah.
Right? But how are you going to get that? Because 1.3 points per game brings you to a total of an average over a season of something like 60 points, which puts you 7th or 8th in the league.
Yeah.
At what point do Norwich ever exhibit that kind of form, or look like they're going to exhibit that kind of form? Now, you make a change to try and make that change.
Yes.
But, if life gives you lemons, you make lemonade, but he doesn't have lemons. He has a bunch of lemons that aren't good enough for performing in the Premier League. So as much as I really want the best for Delia and Michael, because I really do like Norwich, I was always made to feel very welcome there and always enjoyed going there. But I do think that they've not done enough in the Premier League. I do think they've been poor, and I do think that Dean Smith is a plaster he's not the solution. That they need amputation probably rather than a band-aid.
Yeah. Even with the window coming up, I mean, you mentioned Newcastle and the newfound wealth. I mean, might Norwich?
Can you believe that? Can we pragmatically believe that a club that spent, because Alex Cook spread some misrepresentative ideas that they didn't spend any money. One of our reporters, they spent 54 million quid. Right. So do you think they're going to go again in January? This is the club that went up first time round, spent nothing.
Would you spend money if you were Delia?
Well, is it good money after bad? You'd have to go into the window and say, and if Dean Smith suddenly gets, out the next 9 games, picks up 9, 10, 12, 13 points, and all of a sudden you're sitting on 18, 19 points at the turn of the season, well, then you're in business, right? Then you've got to say, OK, one or two arguments, OK, you've got them going, so stay with what you got, or more to the point, actually, I can see that there's hope and there's light at the end of the tunnel. The light at the end of the tunnel isn't an impending train, it's actually something to look forward to.
Exactly.
And then you'd say, maybe there's another £20 million spin here. But what are you going to get for 20 million quid? 25 million quid?
Yeah.
You know, in this day and age, I know that we throw these numbers around as if they're confetti, but in comparative terms, £25 million in the Premier League buys you precisely what?
Yeah, you're not going to get much.
Not much.
No.
Jim White and Simon Jordan, Monday to Thursday morning, 10 till 1. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.